Thank you, madam. And I'm very grateful to the organizer for letting me be part of putting together the session and also speak to you. So I'm going to be the closing batsman and try to hit a lot of boundaries by finishing in the remaining time that we have. And I'm going to briefly talk to you about corneal inflammatory disorders, predominantly highlighting diagnosis and management with some illustrative cases. I have no financial disclosures. So obviously the bottom line of ensuring that the patient has pure inflammation is to make sure that we are not looking at an infection, because distinguishing between the two of them is critical, as the management is the opposite, where vis-a-vis in one case you don't want to start steroids, and in the other case the patient is going to improve only when you start topical corticosteroids. So apart from the routine that we are taught, that is a careful evaluation in terms of history taking and examination, we also probably have to resort to certain laboratory tests to make sure that what we're looking at is an inflammatory disorder alone of the cornea. So I'm just going to show you some pictures of a few cases and come back to what these cases are. So this is a young lady who came in when she was pregnant, and she had a sudden onset painful red eye. And what she has is a lesion on the upper lid, as well as a melting process in the cornea here, perhaps some infiltrate. The second case is an older man who comes in with this peripheral lesion, elevated lesion. The third case is an elderly lady who comes in with this red eye, as well as peripheral whitening or opacification of the cornea. And one more case in which you have a patient who came in with a perforation like this, and this is pretty easy to diagnose, and for which patient we did a banana-shaped crycentric graft. So how do we approach patients with corneal inflammation? Ultimately, it's a clinical presentation, so what is the sequence? And that's the most important aspect in which we have to put on our thinking hats in order to distinguish between an infectious etiology and a pure inflammatory process. Of course, in all infections would have inflammation as well. The other things we need to rule out is surface problems. Dr. S.K. Rao talked about evaluation of a patient with dry eye, and several of these patients can have a low-grade inflammation going on in their eyes and the ocular surface, including the corneas, and we need to rule that out. In addition, there are several rare causes which can mimic corneal inflammatory disorders, especially it is very important to highlight the neoplastic conditions. So apart from routine history that we want to understand, we also need to know if the patient is already on corticosteroids. That would mask some of the clinical findings. And is the patient on any other medication that is causing corneal inflammation, for example, some of the anti-glaucoma medications and a few systemic medications. The patient often doesn't understand that it's important to give us relevant systemic history, because they don't know that the systemic disease may be contributing to it, to the low-grade infection that the patient has. For example, I had a patient who came in with what looked like a corneal inflammation, an inflammatory disorder, but actually the patient had Hansen's. He had thickened pinna of the ear and all telltale signs possible of Hansen's, but he didn't think it really relevant to what he had in the eye. So some of the common causes that we should look at and not really have to worry about is cases like Flickton, VKC with shield ulcer, staphylococcal infiltrates, contact lens-related keratitis, and neurotrophic keratitis. These are causes which are not purely corneal inflammatory disorders, and we don't need to set up the patient for additional systemic investigations. So don't forget to examine the lids. You can have trichiatic eyelashes causing the erosion here and what looks like a sterile infiltrate in the cornea. Or you can have patients with myomitis, blepharitis, and sterile infiltrates again in the cornea. So don't forget to ask for systemic history, suggestive of rosacea. You would have a patient, also another patient with dry eye like this. Marginal catarrhal ulcers, Flickton use, and a very angry red-looking eye with a sterile infiltrate in acne rosacea. So coming back to our case, well, the bottom line is I really don't know whether this patient had a purely inflammatory disorder or infection, or was it related to the lid lesion. So this is something like a large meibomian orifice which was plugged and then erupted. And we did scrapings from the base of this lesion, but it didn't grow anything infective. And the patient ultimately improved with a little tectonic support for this melting process, as well as with low-dose steroids, and the patient was recovered very well. The second case actually progressed with topical steroids. We thought it was peripheral lesion, started steroids, and it turned out to be fungal keratitis, and that was a very bitter lesson to learn. The third case I showed you in the earlier picture looked a little bit like the second case, but this was very innocuous lesion. This was just peripheral lipid deposition. And the last case, if you look at the patient as a whole, you wouldn't miss the telltale signs of rheumatoid arthritis. There can be unusual causes, including microkeratome-related inflammatory keratitis, like this patient here, or another patient who had sort of a central flap melt or necrosis, but improved dramatically after we started the patient on steroids. And I talked about neoplastic conditions, so don't forget when you see some sort of unusual keratitis you can't put your finger on, and this patient has a lesion like this with fimbriated edges, you are looking at ocular surface neoplasm, even if you don't see anything beyond the limbus. So this was a case which kind of confused all of us. Patient came with a very red, bilateral red eye, and we just didn't know what was happening to the patient. The corneal inflammation was looking like this, very edematous cornea. Patient hardly able to open both her eyes at the same picture. And we went around thinking of a lot of diagnoses for this patient, including a factitious kind of condition, whether the patient is putting something in her eye. We're just not sure. So we stopped everything and just gave something which is very non-toxic to the epithelium. And the patient came back after 2 or 3 days and just dramatically improved. So what was this patient doing? So this patient it was not factitious, but the patient was using this particular agent to wash her eyes every night. And when we cultured it, we grew just about everything from this gulab gel that the patient was putting in her eyes. So sometimes it's not purely inflammatory, it's not infective, it can be straddling somewhere there. And we have some conditions that are very peculiar to our subcontinent, to our cultural practice. So we need to really look at beyond a conventional kind of history or a classical kind of diagnosis. So thank you very much.